Welcome to the Growth Concept Podcast. I'm your host, Keone Upton, and my mission is to empower you to unlock your full potential by sharing experts, insights, and transformative strategies for your progress. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Sirett, an amazing musician and runner who's turned his passions into reality. Along the way, Jack has faced setbacks, rebuilt his respect, and mastered the art of persistence. In this episode, we'll explore Jack's journey, how he balanced the demands of his dual passions and overcoming challenges and rebuilding his reputation. Whether you're chasing your own dreams, seeking clarity, or aiming to build a legacy of hard work, there's something in this episode for you. That's enough from me. Let's get into it. Enjoy this episode.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate being here.
I don't know, what is it you do and what mission do you feel you're on in your life right now as we speak?
It's a really interesting question. I feel like it's changed a lot, even just over the last week, just thinking about that. I used to sort of go by the idea of live life with no regrets, that sort of tag. But the more I think about it, regretting something is just unfortunate. You should probably think more about, living life with no stone unturned, just trying your best and giving it all. I think inevitably, I just want to reflect on life, whether that's a later stage and be grateful for all the things that I did and just be happy to give things a go.
Man, such a deep point to get into straight away. Live life, life with no regrets. When did that even come up in your life? Because I'm sure it's not something that happens immediately. What pivotal moment did you have that made you realize that live life with no regrets?
Yeah, I think it's changed a bit now. I think I just really want to be grateful for the things that I've done, and you have sort of certain incidents or events where you reflect back on it and you're like, oh, I wish I'd just put in that extra 1% or just a little bit more effort just to get that result that you drived for. And there's so many people that go for goals, but only a small amount actually make the most out of it and get to that level. So even if it doesn't work out, I think it's just cool to be like, well, at least I put the best I could. I tried as hard as I could, and I think most people who do that end up succeeding somewhat.
Yeah, 100%, man. That leads me on to, what is your dream right now?
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of reflected a little bit in the previous question, but I don't want to be too scared to take the next step with my goals. To use the favorite catchphrase, shoot my shot. I think also my perspective in life has changed a bit recently, where I want to focus on the things I love rather than just the monetary gain from it. For example, I work full time and it's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but at the end of the day, I want to do something that I love and I'm super passionate about as well. So, and we'll probably talk about this a bit later on, but for example, my trumpet, playing and the running, I want to be able to, again, look back on it and be like, well, I gave those things my best go.
Do you find that I was kind of in the same shoes as you, obviously working full time. It's is that really it? Is that it? There's no way I finish school, go to uni, get a full-time job, work for 40 years, and then your passions and dreams are just there. I think it's so valid that you're finding ways to tap into that as well as working full-time. We'll talk about balancing that as well. How did you come up with the whole concept of balancing your passions of trumpet and music with obviously your full-time work? How did that even come into the equation?
Going back on that statement, it does work for some people, their life is their full-time job, and that's great for them. And if it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But I think for me, I'm always trying to not have all my eggs in one basket. I want to try and, diversify. I think about that even sometimes with my running career. There's only so long that you can run so fast. And so, when that stops, whenever that may stop, I want to be able to be like, well, I've still got that to look forward to, or something else to do. So I think I'm pretty grateful at the moment because I've got a full-time job and my employer is quite understanding that I do have those extra commitments. And so, you know, like and in a way, like it's changed my perspective on like, well, I'm probably never going to become the manager or the director of the company because I just don't have the time because I've been focusing on my interests and my passions.
Man, that's what you got to do as well. Like focus in on that, build something with that. And that way, like your full-time job's just there. And then hopefully your boss isn't listening.
yeah. Shout out to my management group. You're the best.
And like building something alongside of that. And then that way, when obviously your side things takes off, then you can do that and kind of leave the full-time work, which you're not 100% passionate about behind. It's definitely a very valid point to think about as well.
Potentially, yeah. I mean, again, at the moment, it's working for me. I'm able to balance those things, but I guess if we cross that bridge, I'm going to have to make a big decision,
a tough decision,
and take it from there. So, I mean, as we all know, the cost of living is pretty crazy at the moment. It is really hard to get started, and I'm really fortunate that I do have a stable income and I can work with my passions around you know, my full-time job. So yeah, I think I used to look back on it and sort of loathe the fact that I'm having to do all these things, but I think inevitably I'm quite grateful to be able to have that.
Yeah,
so,
I feel that, man.
Yeah.
What inspired you to start running in music? Let's go in the time capsule. Let's go all the way back to younger Jack days.
Like, oh man.
Let's hear it, man.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, no, it's really interesting. I think I'll break it up into two. So I'll start with the music. So I think I've always loved music. Like I've always been passionate about it. I've always just like my parents would play a CD in the car and I'd love it. I'd just be bopping. So like I think there's I hope I never get to see this again, but there's like a VHS tape my parents have at home and it's like Christmas and I'm trying to play Jingle Bells on my dad's guitar and I'm just singing completely out of tune. None of it makes sense, but it was super off pitch, but I think, you know, like I just wanted to do it. And I've always been really obsessed with learning an instrument and doing music. And I don't think, you know, like people be like, oh, how did you do trumpet? Like what made you choose trumpet? You know, like I think I fell into it because like I moved to a new school when I was in year 5. And we all had to learn a musical instrument for a year. So we had a choice between brass instruments, string instruments, woodwind instruments. And inevitably, like we had to go sit through a demonstration of all the instruments. And
as in like you watched the teacher play it or something?
That's it. It would be like, hi, my name's Mr. Simpson, shout out. And I am a trumpet teacher and you can make these crazy sounds with your trumpet. So he basically he had his mouthpiece and he blew into a hose and was making like sounds out of a Bunnings warehouse hose. And I'm like, that's really cool because I was 9.
Just admired the hose.
Yeah, or just like, wow, he can make sounds because all the other teachers were probably just going through the motions. And I just found it really engaging. So I picked that as my first choice and then had my first lesson in year 5. I think from there, like we had to do group lessons. That was part of the thing. And I think I just wanted to be better than the guy I was doing group lessons with. But I was also super into it and I just wanted to learn new songs. I was like, what does that sound like? How does that go? And then it just really built from there. So yeah.
Yeah, nice, man. And obviously that was during school?
Yeah. So, I mean, started in year 5, we all had to learn the instrument for a year. And then my teacher said to my parents, like, oh, your son's got a little bit of, you know, like talent on the instrument. He's going quite well. Should consider buying him an instrument. And, you know, I quickly moved out of those group lessons, started doing individual lessons. And then I think from there, it was just wanting to be the best. Like I just wanted to, you know, to like I wanted to listen to new music. I wanted to try new music, and I think that's instilled a lot with even what I do now. Like I play in quite a variety of outfits. Play in a reggae band. I play in the electronic and dance kind of stuff, like top 40 rap. Shout out to Fluent, my boy.
Yeah, no, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, you're the best. You're deadly. And yeah, like I still want to give it a go because if you pigeonhole yourself into one particular genre, then you get known for that, and that's great. But then you're not particularly versatile, and then if you lose passion in that particular genre, then you know where to next.
That's one thing I've found. Obviously, like following you on socials is with the way you've incorporated trumpet into some like rap, like techno stuff. Like, man, that's sick. Like, it's such a different combo I wouldn't have even thought of. When did that come into your life? Obviously, with going through school, learning trumpet, and then you finished school and that was it? Or?
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation, I think, in the past. You get to like like a period where you're in the end of high school, you've been in like structured bands for years, you've been learning rep, whether that's preparing for exams or, you know, like performances at school, and then you're like, what now? And I see this all the time with my own students because, you know, like doing the teaching stuff, and they're like, oh, I don't know what to do now in year 12. And it's like, oh, you know, have you considered joining a band? And some people are less keen on that. Others are. I think for me, like, I was really grateful because I've got really supportive parents. And they were always saying, you know, like, this is like, work with your strengths, you know, like, and I think I'm really grateful for that because my parents would always say, like, you know, for example, I wasn't the most talented AFL player or cricketer in the world. And so they would say, well, you know, like, work on your trumpet, stick with your trumpet because, you know, you've made it this far. So that was definitely a motivation. I ended up doing music partly as a degree at uni, doing a double degree, and I just met people through there. I auditioned for some bands, so there's WA Youth Jazz Orchestra, WA Youth Orchestra, and you just meet like-minded people, and from there, opportunities come up. You know, there's always a shortage in something, so you build your networks through there.
Do you think with having that supportive parent system that definitely had a massive impact on your progress with music?
Yeah, I think, like, I'm really fortunate that my parents, like, they struck the right balance of, like, you know, being really supportive but also not forcing it on me too. Like, music has clearly been one of my passions, and running has too. And they encouraged me, but, you know, inevitably I was the one who was seeking and wanting to do these things. They weren't telling me, oh, you have to go. But if I was, you know, late to a rehearsal or late to running training, they would obviously promptly remind me, oh, Jack, you've got to wake up. You've got this going on. And obviously when you're a teenager, you complain. But in hindsight, like, you know, it's that structure that I'm really grateful for these days. And I think has helped shape me.
That accountability as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just showing up.
Yeah, man. So with your running, I'm very intrigued in this because you're so quick. What's your PB 5K?
Oh, it's 15:13.
15:13.
But I'm still, I did that last year.
15:13. Wow.
But yeah.
For someone who doesn't run, let's like, how quick is that? Because
yeah,
my PB is now 18 minutes and 45 seconds for 5Ks. That's 3 minutes 45 per K.
Still pretty great, yeah.
How many minutes per K is 15?
30, I think it's about 303, 304.
Man, that's like my sprint.
So yeah, like, I mean, I think putting it into those terms, like if you're running an 800 meters, you'd be running about, like 220 to 225 per 800 meters. So if anyone's done
full ball.
Yeah, if anyone's done the athletics carnival at school and got forced to run an 800 meters, I mean, that's usually what the fast guys would be running in their race. But I guess the difference is I'm doing it about 6 times.
The length.
So, but there are faster guys out there, and there's always people to strive and, you know, admire. And
man, the world record is 12 minutes and 35 seconds currently. Do you see yourself beating that?
Oh, I'm just going to have to give a shout out to the fast guys in Perth. So the ones who are the next tier above me, like Luke Burrows, Matt Smith, they could probably get close to 12:35. But for me, just want to get sub 15.
Sub 15,
that's the
hell
goal.
yeah, man. That's the goal. How did running get into your life? Because I know for me, it's now a massive part of my life, man. I can't run a week without doing like 30 Ks.
Yeah.
How has that come into your life?
So many thoughts and feelings to this, don't get me wrong. So it's a bit of a different journey. Like we all do sports as a kid, and I did cricket, played a bit of AFL during my junior years, and I love those sports, and I'm still really obsessed with them these days. I follow the Australian cricket all the time, but I just didn't have the hand-eye coordination, the natural talent for those sports. My first primary school I went to, we didn't even have athletics carnivals or swimming carnivals anything of that ilk. So I moved to a new school in year 5, the one with the instrument program, and we had those. So every year you have to do the swimming carnival, you have to do the cross country, you have to do the athletics carnival.
It's like a kid's worst nightmare. It was mine.
And it was like, I didn't realize you had to compete, but you're competing against everybody in your year. So I think there was 52 kids in my year in year 5. And I still remember I came 28th in my year 5 cross country because I didn't realize you had to run. I rocked up in my tracksuit pants. I walked a bit. I ran a bit. My mum was there. I feel really embarrassed in hindsight, but that was the kicker because I was like, oh my God, like I have to race against all these people again next year. And I don't want to be embarrassed. So basically, like I started running with my dad a little bit. Like I started, taking the swimming a bit more seriously.
Is this something you wanted to do or just?
I think it's a really interesting one. I think I did inevitably, and I'll get to this a bit later. Like the feeling of runner's high. It's just you feel so good after a run. It's like a natural drug, and you would be able to relate to that. And I think that kind of attracted me to it. But also, I love just discovering new places. So I'd go for a run and then I'm like, I've never seen that before. That's really cool. So when I was in high school, my high school, we had to pick a sport in summer and winter. In winter, one of the options was cross country. And it wasn't a super popular sport because everyone wants to play footy and hockey and soccer and even badminton. But the way the teacher described it to me, so I was like, what's cross country? And she's like, oh, you get to run around suburbs. And I was like, oh, sick. Like, lock me in. Like, I want to do that.
Crazy.
I still do that now when I'm on tour. Like every time my bands were playing in a new city or even a regional town, like I love going for a run first thing in the morning and just seeing stuff. Like, you get to see more of the town. Like, and it's worked in a lot of ways. Like, oh, that looks like a good coffee shop. As you run past the main street and then you take your band there in the morning and they're all stoked because they're like, oh, great pickup. How'd you know about this place? Oh, I just ran past it this morning.
Ran like 20 Ks this morning.
Yeah, everyone thinks I'm a madman when I'm on tour. There's not a massive parallel between running and bands, but there's a few. There's at least 3 people I know who do that. So yeah.
So yeah, with obviously the cross country with your running, after that, like how did that progress to almost a sub 15 5K?
Yeah, again, like it's really interesting. I've got a lot of mates who have suddenly got into running. I don't know whether it's just your mid to late 20s. Like
it could be 2025 thing, man. Like it could be because I'm actually doing the sport, but I feel like everyone's got their like pit vipers with some like Nike Vaporflies on with their who knows running jersey.
Yeah, well, Harry Styles ran a marathon I think 2 weeks ago and ran like 3 hours 20, which is actually like a really good time. Yeah. So like if people like him are like taking it semi seriously, that's going to influence a lot of people. So.
Yeah, it could be that as well, just being very commercialized.
I think going back to it, it's like my parents had that value of like sticking to your strengths, and so trumpet was one of those strengths of mine, and music, and running was the other. So like. From year 5, I came 28th out of 52. The following year, because I actually trained for it and took it seriously, I came 4th out of 52. Wow. And from then, I just really wanted to, you make the inter-school teams, and I just wanted to do that, and you, like earn that respect. So I kept doing it, and essentially, like I wouldn't say I'm the most talented runner in the world, but I just love the sport, and I just kept running. A lot of people, they lose their passion for it, they take a break, they get interested in something else, they're 18, they discover the beers, they go clubbing, they go to metros. Yeah. For me, I wasn't necessarily into that, I just wanted to run, and I found like it's also a really great stress reliever as well. If you're under pressure at work or uni or school, go for a run, and I always felt so much better from it, so yeah.
I definitely find it's, like you're saying, that runner's high after. Like, well, what does your runner's high feel like?
I just feel like I've accomplished something, but my body feels good, and I just love the feeling of feeling good, If I don't do exercise in a day, I feel like I'm just a highly anxious critter, and I don't get much done because I'm just thinking about it as opposed to doing it. So
yeah, exactly. I had the chat with my PT today. I redid my gym. Your gym routine. These are days I'm doing running. These days I'm doing gym. I'm trying to gain weight at the moment because I run so much. It's so hard. And I'm like, what do you think of my gym routine? And he goes, yeah, it's shit. And I'm like, what? Yeah. How? He goes, well, you got to rest. And I'm like,
yeah.
Nah, surely not. Surely I could just do a zone 2, 15K run in my rest. Like, surely that would work. He goes, nah, do low heart rate stuff. I'm like, okay.
I'm trying to learn that lesson at the moment. And I mean, I've had numerous setbacks in running, and I feel like I'm always perennially injured, and it's so hard to be like, okay, just take this run slow, because you get into a bit of a rhythm and you're just like, I just want to keep running and run fast.
Man.
But those rest days, those zone 2 days, keeping the heart rate low, like that's where you make the gains.
Yeah, man, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you find it hard scheduling rest now, or?
Yeah, I think sometimes I look forward to it as well. Because I mean, with my work and doing a lot of touring and moving around the place, like you can't always train. So those days that you're flying somewhere or you're driving somewhere, they're usually going to be the rest days. But I think I'm still learning that lesson of doing nothing, because I'm always wanting to do something. And I mean, it's great, but you do need to slow down sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. Leads on to like the whole persistence of it. What's the biggest lesson you've learnt with the persistence, trusting the process through obviously your music and your running career?
In terms of, I mean, I've had like numerous setbacks in both pursuits. I mean, we talked a little bit about that earlier with music, like just being unsure where to go after year 12.
It's a way of life too, man. Like, especially with running.
Yeah, with the running, injuries, accidents. I mean, like I missed I think 2011, I made my first national team for WA, went to Sydney, was living the high life. I mean, it got humbled, but it was just cool to even just rep a state jumper. It's something I'd been striving for ages. And then that whole season after, got tendonitis, couldn't run for like 6 months. And
What's tendonitis?
Basically my muscles are really tight. For me, it was my iliotibial band. And every time I'd run, I'd just be really sore and it would be really achy, a pain ache, but it just wouldn't go away.
No runners high those days.
Well, yeah, because it's just torturous to run. And so I just, and it was one of those things that it takes a while to go away, and you just have to like do the gym work and heal and not run. And it's really hard when, one of your big eggs is taken away from you. I mean, I think inevitably, like having multiple sort of eggs in your basket is really helpful. So even though the running was a challenge, I could still do the music stuff, practice my trumpet, get the rep sorted. I was really lucky again, like having supportive parents, that they were really helpful in those times. But inevitably you learn lessons, from every setback that you've had.
Yeah, 100%.
So, for example, with that particular injury, you're aware when it happens again, or you change up your training days. You take the rest days. You don't avoid them. You just go, you just do it.
Man, like it was before this, I was like, okay, like forcing myself to schedule in like each rest day for every week. Early on, you were saying that early on in your life that you had a couple of mistakes or setbacks, you were saying earlier. I don't know, how did that affect you as a person? And you were saying something about your reputation as well. Let's go back to those days.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting point. Like, I think despite, having a lot of great days and successes, there's been things, I mean, we're always learning. And I remember, like, I've got two really good examples for you. So the first one, got to year 9, and you'd probably know this, like, it's just a bit of a rowdy year. You start questioning things. Instead of doing what you're told, you're like, why am I doing this? So I had a bit of an issue with being told what to do. And I think there were some teachers and you just decide you don't like them. And so you just, as a result, you question them, you make their life tricky. So in year 9, I got suspended from school for back chat, and we had Saturday detentions at school, so you'd have to rock up to school in your formal uniform, and you'd write like a 2-page essay about what you did and what you could learn and things like that. It was ridiculous. I remember because we would have like sport on the Saturday morning, the school sport, and then they would say, no, you can't do that. You have to rock up to school instead in your uniform and think about what you did. So I struggled with authority for a bit and being told what to do. And I mean, as a result, like with that kind of behavior, you have bad relationships forming, and sometimes they're irreparable, which is really unfortunate. So in the case for me, and not a lot of people know about this, but I ended up moving schools into year 10, and I had to start again and just be on my best behavior.
Just because it was so damaged back in your old school?
Yeah, I didn't get like expelled or excluded, but I was pretty close to that. And like it was just rocking up to school every day, and that teacher's really going to dislike you. and like you're gonna play up because you just have this terrible relationship going. So I mean, the way to deal with that was to remove yourself from that situation. So again, I was really fortunate because I could rely on my skills. So my music skills, and I got a music scholarship to quite a good school in Perth, and they took me on. And then from then on, year 10, day one, it was like lock in, bro. Like, just don't cause any trouble, just, get into it. And that was really what I learned is, like, it wasn't, in hindsight, I regret a lot of my behaviors, but it's more like, well, aside from don't do that again, it's like reflect on it and how can you better yourself. If you're in a bad situation and something's happening, then take yourself out of that situation. Like, don't keep getting involved in trouble. So another example for me was like I used to play in a band, and it's a really good band. It's one of the best ones for youth coming through in Perth. But then I started getting offered paid gigs, and I mean, capitalism. You're just like, oh man, I'm living the life.
Cashing out.
I'm earning $100 to play a gig. Like, so cool. Like, this is amazing. So then I ended up favoring those over the rehearsals, which I should have been going to. And I just wasn't particularly, like locking into these rehearsals. And so as a result, you develop poor relationships with people, and it's hit me to this day. I mean, even now, like, and again, I've reflected on that, and we always talk about hindsight being a wonderful thing. But yeah, like you just gotta make sure that, you don't upset the apple cart. And particularly in our instance, living in Perth, it's a small world.
I was just going to bring that up, like Perth is so small, man. Like everyone knows who you are, like at some point down the line, even like in the world, man, like it's a small world. Like that's something I've learned recently as well, obviously with changing jobs recently, and like the importance of not burning bridges, especially in particular industries, as you know, with music. Like, tell us, how has your music career suffered with obviously the mistakes you made in your early days?
Yeah, I mean, inevitably, I mean, if you have poor relations with people, they don't want to work with you. And if you don't get on, you're probably not going to work together. So it's really like, I think about this now, and I regret a lot of the things I did. For example, just not coming to rehearsal, poor communication, even back to school, just like being a rat bag and making people's lives hell. Like, I think when you're younger, you do also get triggered a lot by your emotions. You don't really think about it super rationally. And I think that's what I've learned now. Like like reflecting on the behavior is really important. And I really instill that on my music students too. It's like, why are you doing this? As opposed to, I guess I'm doing it, The other thing is like, I think what I've learned is I've had to try and prove my worth. And that's tough, because if you've created these situations or you've ended up in these situations, the only way you can really get back any sort of kudos is to give back and actually, put in more than 100%. So, for example, like, I mean, your actions are always going to speak louder than your words. So volunteering to do things, or helping out, set up with the band rather than just rocking up late to sound check, which I'm still learning. And representing your workplace or your school or your band with pride, and I guess addressing your weaknesses and thinking how can you get better.
That's something I've learned, obviously, looking back school. Like, how long have we known each other for, you reckon? Like, off the 6
I can tell you this because I had a chat with a fellow alumni of your school the other day.
No way.
I was like, when were you working at, that school? And I said, I think it was like 2020. So yeah, 5 years?
5 years, yeah. You've seen, like, obviously, when did you start teaching me? Was it year
9?
Year 9.
Yeah.
Year 9, I was a little shit. Man, even like looking back, like I was kind of in the similar your shoes. Like,
I think that's why I felt a bit more of a bond there, because I could see you were making the same mistakes that I made when I was in year 9.
Yeah, and obviously you can't tell a year 9 and be like, oh, you will regret this. Like, don't do it. But looking back, like you were saying, like in hindsight, if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be where I am now. Like, to not do that bad thing, like, which would result in packing away the whole band, or not doing that in the car park at school. Like, it's just
or
that
just rocking up late or leaving early or just being a menace, really, you know.
So lesson you can take in, like, even your career, man, like, that will set you back slowly. Those marginal 1%ers could either take you off or really slow you down.
It's the actions at the end of the day as well. I mean, like, you can say, oh, I promise I won't do that again. I promise I'll get better. But it's you rocking up on time, or it's you actually putting in the effort to learn the pieces, or, if a running example, doing the sessions, you know, like helping out with the coach.
100%, man. Obviously, with that being said, what do you feel your turning point was when you realized that you had a lot of work to do to rebuild, obviously, that respect that you lost when you were younger?
Oh, yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I think we're always learning as well. I think, but again, I think I'll bring this back to the initial analogy, like just reflecting on it. And I mean, at the time, it's very heat of the moment when you cause these issues.
Yeah.
And you don't really think about the consequences that could happen because you're just angry. You're not thinking rationally. So for me, I find it takes me a while to understand the process, but then from there, like, think about it and then just see, like, how can I not necessarily rectify the situation, but how can I improve myself for next time? And, if the relationship isn't damaged, are there ways that I can address it? Are there steps I can take in order to gain people's trust back? And gain some respect and some face.
For people who may have been in a similar boat as you and I, with going through school, being an absolute menace, and may have not learning that till later on and carried that out into their early career, what would you recommend or guide them to pull their head in and to focus on rebuilding their reputation? Like, what are a few characteristics we should be breaking down with the reputation side of things?
I'd probably say, aside from just working hard, like, I think putting in the extra effort with particular things. If you're passionate about something, go for it. Don't be hindered by barriers or potential barriers. I think we're linking it back to the start. We talked about, trying not to leave any stone unturned. You can gain respect back. It's never too late, even if it's in a separate field. So I think, always have a glass half full approach on things. I think it's really easy to be caught up in the negative and thinking, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd done this, as opposed to, well, at least I did that, or there's something to come, For example, I think we were just talking about this before the podcast. Like, I fell, like I had a trip on my run, contact sport, 2 weeks ago. Just tripped over a speed bump because I'm silly. But because I've had bad injuries before, I'm like, this isn't too bad, Are my fingers okay? Okay, they're great. Can I walk? Okay, I can walk. That means I can drive to Margaret River and play my gig on Friday. I can still go on tour. I just have to bandage my hands. I think just thinking about the other perspective rather than just getting caught up in the why me. Why does this always happen to me? Because the only person who can really change their behaviors is you.
Wow, that's deep. 100%, man. I feel that
from experience, though.
Obviously, with you bandaging up your hand, I'm sure you can come up with a cool story. Obviously, being in Australia, you wrestled a shark on the way here or something. Yeah. No, I got a kiss from the pavement. Yeah.
It was intimate. I got rugby tackled while running and fell on the pavement. Yeah.
So with breaking down, obviously, why you started running and your music career, as well as the hit you've gotten with your reputation and stuff, as well as how an individual can rebuild that reputation through the hard work, and you brought up volunteering as well. Did that have a massive pivotal moment when you started being like, okay, I'm not doing it for that, money reward, you're doing it for, obviously, a reason?
Doing it for the love and doing it for the opportunities. I mean, money's obviously great, and sometimes it's awesome to be able to see some worth or some net worth as a result of the effort that you put into into your passion, you know, whether that is running, music, or weightlifting, or whatever it is, you know.
Yeah.
But I think inevitably, like, trying to like, if an opportunity comes up, take it. You know, if you've got a mentor or a leader who says, oh, like, you know, there's this program and I think you'd be really suited to it, I think you should like have a go. You know, like it's worth just trying. And even if you don't succeed, you can still get there. It just might be a longer journey than most. I mean, I don't think I'm the most talented trumpet player. I don't think I'm the most talented runner, but I'm passionate about those things and I stuck in them long enough. And I can tell you that most of the successful guys on the circuit in Perth for running and the successful musicians, like for me, I mean, a lot of people ended up just moving to Melbourne and moving to Sydney to you know, progress their careers. And that's awesome. And it's so cool to see people from Perth succeeding. But for me, that just opened up new opportunities because, oh, that guy left. Can you play in this? Or, you know, we need a trumpet player for this tour. Like, are you free? And for me, I mean, I also love travel as well. So that's probably another factor. But
do you think travel has been a big part to obviously shaping on where you are now?
Yeah, I think seeing things from a different perspective is really important as well. And I think we probably don't do enough of that. I think we always get stuck in the, you know, what I think or what we're being told, and whether that's the media.
The comfort town too, like Perth is the comfort town.
Yeah, I think one of the things, like this doesn't relate to any music or running stuff, but like we had an opportunity in at uni. This is ridiculous talking about this, but like our uni coordinator decided, oh, let's do a field trip to North Korea, and like, because I don't know why, but anyway,
North Korea.
People signed up for it. I was too scared.
What?
I was like, oh, you know, we're going to get knocked back. Like, it's dangerous. You know, you obviously hear all these reputations. Anyway, it didn't go ahead. It got cancelled by the Australian government. They were like, no, this isn't happening. But as a result, they were like, well, everyone's put money into this tour, so we've got to come up with a plan B. So they ended up going to Mongolia for 2 weeks. And like, that is sick. And I mean, I don't want to say regret, but like, I'm so sad I missed out on that opportunity. Because, you know, they were riding horses in Mongolia and learning about like Mongolian culture and urban planning.
Wow.
And I just thought, wow, that's awesome. So anyway, like another opportunity came 6 months later to East Timor. And like East Timor is not necessarily on people's bucket lists. It doesn't have a reputation as being like a beachside destination, a holiday. I mean, it's quite a poor country as a result of civil war. But I took it because I was like, well, I've missed out on this one, but this opportunity's come up. And that was honestly one of the best trips I've ever been on. I learned so much from the people, because people don't have a lot. They're so grateful for the smallest things, whether that's just like having a soccer ball or, you know, like it being a sunny day. And I think, you know, that sort of links a lot to the material wealth argument that I was mentioning earlier. Like, you know, I want to do it because I love it, not because, you know, because of the money.
Exactly,
it provides me happiness.
Like one principle I've discovered recently by Simon Sinek. Do you know who he is? Simon Sinek?
No, but
it's the why. It's in 3 circles. It's why, how, and what. And the way he does it is it's a form of marketing or sales, but you can apply this to any aspect of your life. And it's like work from your why and go outwards. Kind of what you're doing. Like there was a reason why you started running. There was a reason why you started music. You didn't do like, oh, I want to be rich. Let's start music, start pumping out these albums and then trying to get revenue or investors into that. Like it's working from your why. That way you're fulfilled. That way when you get that end result, which happens to come with the process, you're fulfilled, man. And I think that's a good point to remember throughout your career, like focusing on the why. Why are you doing that career? Why are you studying that? Or why are you doing that passion, man? Like it's definitely good to consider that.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And I think like, I mean, if you're interested in something, then opportunities will come up.
Exactly.
Know? And I mean, and if they're not being created for you, you can create them yourself. I mean, I think we've talked about this a bit, but I'm organizing a concert at the moment for my birthday, and like that's super stressful. But because I've had the opportunity, I guess, to learn, like I've been in gigs before and I've seen how people have run them. I've tried to bring those skills into this, and so now I'm doing something different, but it is still linked. And I think that's the I mean, we've talked about a lot of experiences just, you know, from today, but everything has been linked, you know, like the happiness aspect like from East Timor. Like I feel like that's driving a lot of my music and my running at the moment. Like the behaviors from my problematic years in high school, like the lessons you learn from that and how can you apply that to be a better person.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
If you could go back to your younger self, what would you tell yourself and why with the knowledge you have now?
Yeah, I think not putting pressure on myself. I think younger kids, and I see this with my students, they want to get good like now. They don't necessarily think about the long term. I mean, and I like to use this quote. I say it every lesson, and I'm sorry to my students, but they probably hate it now. But like I always like to say, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
Especially when they're trying to play a song now. I just want it perfect. You're just like, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah, I mean, I don't say it straight up. Like, I'll try and tell them, like, slow things down, or like, work on that particular section, because I think there's this pressure that we put on ourselves to get better, like instantly. And I think now as well, in the current generation, like everything is just, it happens now. Like things used to take time. Like I remember, like I had a brick phone when I was in high school, and it would take 5 minutes for Facebook to load, and I'd get so excited if there was one message on there, and then I'd click on that, and then it'd be another 5 minutes wait to find out like what the message would be, and it could literally just be someone saying lol. But I would get so excited about that, and like you can't fathom that now, because you just turn on your phone and then it's like there, the message is there, or you don't even have your phone turned off, like it's just on there, so you get a smartwatch notification. So I think I did that a lot, albeit in a different situation from a previous generation. But like linking on that, I would say to myself, like if I didn't get that national qualifying time for running, if I didn't make that team, if I didn't get into that orchestra that I auditioned for, or maybe the required ATAR for my university course, there's always other opportunities. There's always other ways to do it. Like I think now the schools are very big on this. Like if you don't do ATAR, you can still get into uni. There are pathways irrespective. So, the goal, it might take longer that you might have thought it was going to happen, but you'll be wiser for it. And I think you'll also be grateful for it. You'll reflect on it and be like, well, it took longer, but, in the end I got there, and I'm happy with where I'm at. So that's what I would say to myself, and because I've lived that.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
Where can people connect with you if they're interested in obviously the work you're doing? Obviously, I see the shirt, Fluent.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that.
Fluent, yeah, my boy. Yeah, so Fluent is he's a local rapper. He's a Noongar rapper, so he's from Borlu. And yeah, him and his son Inkavi, they're absolutely killing it at the moment.
Way.
They're like a father-son rap duo.
Hell yeah.
And yeah, like they were on America's Got Talent last year and made it to the quarterfinals. And producing. I think they're in the midst of producing some new music. But I'm really fortunate that Fluent takes me on his bigger tours. So. So he's on Instagram, he's on Facebook, he's probably on TikTok. I don't have TikTok, unfortunately, but it's Fluent, Flewnt. So he's one of my bands that I play in, but I also have my own separate accounts too. So my Instagram is just my name, Jack Serett Music, no spaces, all undercaps. And then I'm also on Facebook, got a YouTube account that I'm still learning.
It's a big learning curve, that one.
Yeah, we'll get there at some point. I think I've just got a playlist of stuff that I play in at the moment. So
yeah, nice, man.
Yeah, Spotify too. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. All links will be in the show notes below. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jack, for this conversation. I really appreciate it, especially with Perth being so small. We definitely underestimate being young and arrogant on the value of having the reputation.
Yeah, appreciate that, Keone. Thanks for having me, and hope you learned something.
Cheers, Jack. Thank you. That wraps up another inspiring episode on the Growth Concept podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you, Jack, for sharing your experiences on the power of persistence and the hidden lessons within setbacks, as well as the mindset shifts it takes to pursue your dreams with discipline and purpose. If Jack's story resonated with you in any sort of way or motivated you to keep chasing your goals, don't forget to subscribe to the Growth Concept podcast. This is the only thing I'll ever ask for you, and in return, I will keep growing the show every single fortnight and making it better and better, as well as bringing on more inspiring guests. Thank you so much for tuning in, and all of Jack's resources are linked below. Until then, keep growing, keep chasing your dreams, and I'll see you on this next episode. See ya.